Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. In this video, we are going to talk about my experience with my first game jam. And it was an emotional ride. This was the game jam hosted by GDevelop. It was called Big Game Jam 5. And there was 308 entries. I will not tell you what I ranked until the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, I'm going to talk about what I did, I guess, and like my experience a little bit. Also, this is a very weird format because the game jam is 9 days long because they split half of the first day and half of the last day to make 9 days instead of 10. But I'm either going to consider this day 0 or day 1, and then we're going to have a 10th day. Something like that, because it's just weird the way they did it. I understand why they did it, it's for time zones, but it's just weird when making a video. But yeah, let's just get into it. I started off my day with breakfast and doing chores. I'm not normally up this early, but I woke up and I just never fell asleep. So I took advantage of the extra time to get stuff done so I don't have to worry about it during the jam. You know, things like mopping, sleeping, vacuuming, you know, household stuff. And then after that, I organized some video footage, and then I set up folders for this video for each day so that it's easier for me to edit later. And yeah, 9 days of footage, organize that now, which this is future me. I forgot to record some days, so some days are gonna be a little lacking. Yeah, but I did my best. After I made the folders, I wrote myself a game plan, not a game design document because I didn't know the theme yet. This was more of a stay focused and do the thing type document. Like, don't immediately jump into making pretty art, try and get the trash to work first. Which I 75% stuck to, which for me that's good. But there were some things like the scale, we'll get to it later. That sucker, I just started making the art because once I got it working, I was not doing it again. But I'm getting sidetracked. I made this document. I looked at it a few times, but I kind of just started getting into whatever flow I could find, and then I didn't really look at it anymore. But it was good still to type out because like some of it's still stuck in my head because I typed it out. Besides all this, I was just hoping for the best. And yeah, let's just get into my reaction to the theme. So, the theme will be announced in 5 minutes. Oh, so apparently it's 5 minutes, but there's also going to be a 5-minute premiere timer to make sure people show up and see it all at the same time. But, yeah. That just gives me time to sort some things while I wait. Here we go! Way too epic for what we're doing, okay.
The 5th big GDevelop game jam is about to begin. Game developers from all around the world will be coming together to compete for 9 days, creating games using the theme.
Oh boy. Physics, God help me. Oh!
Unstable.
Oh. Well, that's a theme. Unstable. Now, I actually did come up with a theme for the prompt, but how would I do that? Because unstable doesn't mean you have to use physics. Unstable could mean mental and emotionally unstable. I actually do have an idea. How the frick I would make this, I don't know. So you saw the theme was unstable. I was very much unstable by the end of this game jam. This was a lot. This was very emotional and mentally draining. But I want to explain my thought process behind what I was making for the theme while you kind of see me concepting in the sketchbook. So I went for mentally unstable, but respectfully. Now, I personally deal with mental illness done by a lot of trauma, and also I believe I'm neurodivergent, but I cannot afford to find out what I have. So I wanted to show how it feels to be mentally unstable but in a more realistic sense, not so much, you know, like the Joker or Harley Quinn, where like, they're mentally unstable, therefore they want to murder people. Because I feel like, although that can happen to some people who have like manic depression and bipolar disorder and things like that, not everyone who's mentally unstable is a harm to anyone or themselves. They're just really suffering. So I wanted to make a game that showed how it feels trying to struggle through a day without it being a slice of life. It is more abstract and artsy than like, you know, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a game to like, okay, it's more artsy than watching cutscenes with Shane in Stardew Valley. You know, he's like the very depressed character out of all of them. Honestly, they all have a little bit of depression, but he's like the super depressed character. Or Kent, he has PTSD, he has mental illness. It's different than that. It's more symbolic and interactive, the game I planned and ended up making. So what I did the rest of the day was make a basic game design document, which I honestly forgot existed after I made it. And I also made a Pinterest board so I can get some inspiration. Later in the night, after dinner and all that, I did try out some of the physics, trying to learn how to make a scale. My thought process was, if the scale is the hardest thing to make, I should start with that, so that once that's done, everything else is a breeze. That was in theory. I'm not sure if I was right or not, I'm gonna be honest, and it's been weeks. But yeah, you're gonna hear a lot about this scale in this video. It was a lot. Okay, so I have an idea. How I'm gonna execute this idea, I do not know. But I was learning a little bit about physics for my butterfly game that I have on hold now because I'm doing this. And honestly, this might help me come up with something fun for that game by making a different game using physics. Because the first level, I still don't know what I'm doing. So for this game, my idea is... Now, this is based off of my experience. This is not meant to say this is how it always is, okay? Because I do have a lot of mental illness that I can't afford to deal with, so I have to deal with it on my own. I mean, I have friends, family, faith, but like, it still doesn't mean it just is gone. But anyway, so this idea is you have a scale and you have to gather objects to put on this scale to try and achieve balance. And basically how I want this to be, because you can't be a super long game, it can't be like super in-depth, like going into like 20 worlds for each individual nuanced emotion or anything. So I want to focus on just a few things that you would put in here. But I also want to focus on a couple of negative things. Because let's be honest, no matter how positive you are, negativity will always be there. So how do you find balance within the negativity? But it might be like, well, this sounds more like the same as balance. Kind of. Because the person, your character you're playing as, I don't know if you're going to play as an actual character or if it's going to be more interactive where it's a mouse. But the character that you're playing as, they are unstable because they haven't found the balance within the struggle of having mental health problems. I don't know if I'm explaining this good. But I like this idea. If nothing else, I think it'll be healing for me. So, if no one likes it, that's fine. I like it. So it is the next day, and what I did this day was, first, I did a little bit in the early morning because my cats wake me up an hour early to feed them and won't leave me alone. So I kind of stood up for 2.5 hours, so I figured I'd work on the game a little bit. Then I had to make breakfast and we had to get groceries. And then after that, I did more work on my game. I spent most of my time trying to get the scale to working. And wow, did it take me all day. While I didn't get a scale per se, I did get a groundwork. Do I know how to turn it into a scale? Nope. But did I try? Yes. I did my best. This whole day was just a day where I tried to get the physics joints to work. I found a project file to learn from, and it showed what all the joints do, and I was learning off of that all day, and it took me a whole day to figure out there are multiple expressions I was supposed to be using, and I was using the same one for everything. Go me! The difference was one word, but I feel stupid, and I'm glad I figured it out. We're starting from 0, but it's still the second day. It's weird. But yeah, that was fun. I did break for dinner, and then the other thing that I did was make 2 prototypes for the mini games. I did one prototype for the Broken Heart mini game, and then I did the other mini game that was a prototype for the Soul. I don't think I mentioned this yet. So the basis of the game is you have your heart, mind, and soul, and each one of those will spawn in objects in the scale level that you have to put on the scale to balance the scale to make it from unstable to stable. And I was working on the 2 mini games. There's 3 in total, but for this day I was working on 2 of them a little bit, and I got prototypes for those 2 and worked on the scale. And that is what I did on the first full day. On the second full day, I really didn't get much done. I did some chores in the morning. I went to church. I really tried to work on it, but I was so tired from being up really early that I just took a nap. I did a few bits and bobs on the game, but I ended up focusing on some art for the scale and also the heart game. At this point, I haven't figured out how to get the scale working, but I figured I might as well start on the art for it so I don't have to make the scale twice, because this was proven to be extremely difficult and I didn't want to do it twice. And I also did some planning in my sketchbook, but for this day, not much happened other than that. Day 3, I did quite a bit. I followed a water tutorial, which I thought you can use an image to give water physics to. Turns out you can't, which is a bummer. So I compromised and put the image I wanted to be the water Z-ordered behind the actual water, and then put the sway behavior on it so that it kind of feels like it's moving around. I also started on constructing the scale and the scene as a whole. I've realized this whole game's aesthetic is really just the kind of art I would make when I was a teenager. Semi-ethereal with lots of little details and symbolism. My idea of being emo was just making lots of very heartbreaking, if you know the context behind it, images with hearts. That sounds innocent. If you knew the backstory to these, I'll put some of them on the screen. Yeah, they're very sad, but but you can see a lot of the art style that I've put into this game in those, and I made those as a teenager. So, kind of reliving some parts of life while making this. I said this would be healing for me. As you can see for the scale design, there's a lot of things on it. The top piece is the sun, which represents the soul, and then there's a brain and a heart, which you'll see throughout this game. I wanted to scale to show what we are balancing, and also I think it looks pretty cool. I sketched it in Procreate, then went into Clipstudio to do the actual art. Thank God for the symmetry tool. It's okay if it looks like I hand drew it, like if the things aren't perfect, but I don't want it to be so lopsided that it's ugly to look at. For the background, glow, and clouds, I did all of that in GIMP. It's just things I've done so many times in GIMP, there's no reason to stop now. For the clouds, I made them a tiled object and changed the X offset and placed one in the back of the scale and one in the front, and they're going 2 different directions. I thought it looked more heavenly almost. I really like that kind of ethereal, glowy look. Now that the game's done, I see that I should have expanded them because if you sit there long enough, they kind of just vanish after a while. But that's my fault. The glow I made work by using what I learned to make the day-night cycle in the main game that I'm working on outside of the jam. And once I got it working, I think it looks pretty nice. I love how this style looks, just in general. I used the plasma clouds render a lot to add subtle graininess and color. I really love that effect. It's one of those effects I used even as a teenager. Like I said, this is a nostalgic art style for me. I did almost 4 hours of work on stream and then 3 more after dinner. I'm trying to pace myself at this point because I don't sleep well, so I'm trying not to exhaust myself because I actually have a harder time sleeping if I'm exhausted because I'm also overstimulated. This game jam has actually been really healthy for me. I felt like I've accomplished something and less brain fog. It's been nice. Frustrating, but nice. Famous last words. By the end of the game jam, I was crying. But at this point, it was nice. If you want to see the live stream, it's in the live tab on the channel. This will be the first of 3 live streams that I did while working on this. And that's what I did on the 3rd full day. So this is where we're at now. Looks good because it's not playing. I haven't attached these 2 things and this together. This is where the little thing is going to impact. I need to make a way for it to impact and not fall off the edge. Even though, to be honest, I might just make things draggable in there. But no, I need to wait. I don't know. I'll figure it out. This is how it looks so far. I still need to make the dangles for the chains. Also, this chain could be a little closer. So the backs aren't attached, but I do like how everything else looks. See, this isn't attached. But I gave this a rope joint, so it's kind of dangling a little bit. Made these ethereal looking clouds. This is supposed to have a bunch of symbolism in it, so like heart, soul, mind, heart, soul, mind, soul, mind, heart, soul, mind, heart, 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 kind of a brain shape. Yeah, so this is all like a very symbolic looking thing. I'm very happy with it overall. I just need to get this stuff to attach. I decided to not try and figure out how to make chains for this, even though it will look very pretty, because I'm having a hard enough time getting this to work. It looks like it's working, but if I get does it look like it's working to you? Yeah. Help. That's why I'm just not even gonna try and make like another thing. I'm just that this is what you get. Ignore how tacky this looks. So here's the water. And I found out you can only draw a color, so the water I made is pretty much useless, so I just used it as a texture in the background. Haven't actually gotten it to work yet, but it's supposed to be you enter one door and then the next door is faded, and then you open the next door and all the other doors are faded, and this is just so you can't go any further. This is all placeholder. None of this is good yet. And like you're supposed to click on the door and it takes you to a room. This is not the room it would actually take you to. It would go to the water room first. But yeah. And I guess I could also show you. This is what this room is going to be. Turn this grid off. I don't need it. How do I turn the grid off? I forgot. Okay. So this here is gonna look like this, and I made this background for it. So another really like glassy, ethereal looking thing. And I like how this looks. It looks kind of like there's a heart in the background a little bit. I did not do that on purpose. It kind of just became that, so I'm happy with that. I love making these backgrounds in GIMP. This was one of my favorite things to do as a teenager. So There's gonna be different pieces. Like this is the flowery bits are gonna be in one piece. I kind of want to make this a separate piece with a rope joint to make it kind of sway back and forth. And I want to make this here separate, this separate. The butterflies are actually optional. I might make them into something, but I just wanted something for the image. So on the 4th full day, I made myself a nice little breakfast. I sorted some of the footage for this video, and I also worked on the script as well. Also on this day, I live streamed, and to summarize this day, I fought the scale and I lost. So I worked on the heart puzzle, and I made each piece of the puzzle have a message of self-doubt, and when you complete it, you get a wholesome, encouraging message. Please, if you play this game, please read each piece. The pieces are sad, but it will make the message when you complete the puzzle feel a lot more meaningful, even though it's a simple message. Also, I did not have time to learn how to make things lock into a puzzle. I did find snapping to like a not a scale, a grid, but it didn't really do what I wanted, so we didn't go with that. That might have been the way to do it, but I don't know. If you want to see what I did this day in more detail, which is mostly just me being frustrated for most of the day, you can see the live stream. It is again in the live tab, and it is the 2nd out of 3 live streams that I did for this game. So on this day, I decided that I want to just get this scale working if it kills me. And I didn't really get to start until late afternoon because I had like ring fit and chores and stuff to do at the beginning of the day. So I didn't even get to start till like late afternoon. And also after fighting the scale for 5 days, I just decided to ask on the forum, which I was a little weary of because I don't want to be that person who is on the forum all the time asking questions because people tend to assume you didn't try. And I just had asked a question about a prototype game I was working on, which you can hear about in the video before this one, if you want to hear about that game. So I kind of was a little weary to ask, but someone was super cool and nice, and huzzah, they helped me. I love that person. Bless you. If you see this video and you're like, oh, I recognize that scale. Yeah, thank you. You helped me get it to work. Bless you. I have a working scale, and I am so happy about that. The process was so tedious, though, to get the actual baskets to behave like baskets. This next clip will tell you what I had to do, and yes, it is very tedious and very annoying, but I'm happy that we got a solution. Been a while since I've done a check-in. I finally got the godforsaken scale to kind of work. I'm gonna experiment a little bit with having a beam and rope joints. So we can not have the drawn look, but so you can move it back and forth. This is linked together, and I can plop stuff inside. It's a little wobbly. So what I had to do, you can kind of see it here. Move this. So I had to, I can undo all of this, by the way. Make polygon points. Let me show you what that means. Scrolling, where is it? Scale, basket, left. Okay. So instead of the whole square, including the transparency, being a collision, I had a new polygon. I had to make it on the very bottom, so that way it won't collide with it. And then for the background, because it has to be 2 separate images, because I want this to be behind the things we put in the scale, and this has to be in front of the things that put in the scale, so it has to be 2 different objects. And then for this one, I set the collision to be the edge, so that way it'll go on the edge of the image. So if you click on this, see how the edge is down here? Let's undo this. So the edge is down here, and then the collision is here. And then, whoops. And then this here are 3 different objects that have physics, but it doesn't have the middle bit. Now this is just empty. There is no transparency. It's just a void. So now I had to put this inside, and in the events I had to weld them together along with the basket. And then I meant to put fake baskets instead. I wrote baked baskets. Whoopsie doodles. Let me fix that. I mean, who doesn't love a basket full of baked goods? But that's not what we're doing. Fake baskets. Okay. So I had hide fake baskets. So I'm just going to keep this like this so you can see. You can't see it. It kind of linked back together because I have it doing that. But as you can tell, it's not constructed properly because of what I was just doing. But as you can tell, I can put stuff in it now. Now I have to fix what I did. So that's a thing. That's fun. Oh my goodness, I got it to work. Look at this. It's not perfect, but you know what? I'm happy. I got it. I got what I want. It's really late. It's after 11. I gotta now work on making the objects, and then this whole room will be done. Look at this. 5 days, but I got it. Bless the dear Lord. Look at that. I did it. I'm so happy. On day 6, I had terrible sleep the night before. Someone forgot to take their melatonin. And I had to do long, tedious errands in the outside world. So besides a tiny bit in the morning, I didn't get to properly start on this until nighttime. At least I got to spend time with my friend, and she got me a frozen fruit bowl as a treat. So that was nice. It's always nice to hang out with her. When I did get stuff done, I focused on the hub area. I had worked on it a bit on day 5, but my biggest focus on day 5 was the scale and doing other stuff as a break. But I have the hub area put together. I just have to finish the mini games and complete the character. And I think at this time I also had to complete the doors. And that's all I did. I went to sleep really early for me, like 2 or 3 hours earlier than I normally do, and I just slept. That's all I did. So this wasn't a very productive day at all, but it's okay. So this is day 7, and this is the day where my mental health started to suffer. So that was great. I live streamed this day, and if you want to see the live stream, it is on my live tab like the other ones. It is the 3rd and final live stream. And what I worked on this day was the water level. And honestly, I don't know if I made any progress, and I worked on it for 5 hours. I tried to get one thing to work, but it wouldn't work. So I tried another thing, and that also didn't work. Honestly, this day was hard. I got pretty discouraged and thought I probably wouldn't finish this in time. I even ended up laying in my bed sad, just like out of it. Not even crying. It was just, I was so upset crying wasn't an option. And then my boyfriend gave me a pep talk and told me how I could do it. And even if I still didn't get it done in time, I still did a good job and I learned a lot, which is the point. And he made me feel better because he's sweet. And then he showed me funny pictures to make me feel better. So, you know, that was great. So after I had my little breakdown, I decided that I would work on the soul level. And the premise of the soul level is you have to keep your light from going out, and what is trying to take it out are tears. It's not meant to be don't cry, it's more meant to be stay strong despite the tears. Hopefully that came across, because I don't believe in telling people not to cry, because, you know, crying's healthy. That's the premise of the level, and I worked on that a little bit, and then I think that's all I did for the rest of that day. And then we move on to the weekend again. So, we're on day 8. Day 8 was rough. Day 8 was real rough. I may or may not have cried a couple times on day 8. You thought that one pep talk was all I got during this? No, I got multiple pep talks in one day for day 8. Day 8 was something else. Day 8 hurt. I was so behind. I had one mini game that didn't work. I had to make the menu, which was very simple because I didn't have time to make anything nice. I didn't make the logo. I didn't make the charm art, which I will get into what they represent in a second. I was just so behind. I needed to get so much done. I didn't even name everything I needed to get done. It was so much I can't remember it all. Oh yeah, I had another mini game, the Soul game, that wasn't finished. And I couldn't work and then finish it the next day, really, because the next day I had to go to church earlier than normal, and even if I didn't, I still wouldn't have time because I don't get home from church until almost 2, and it needs to be uploaded I think by 3 or 3:30 my time, and I had to figure out how to get that to work. Yeah, it was a mess, so I had to finish everything on day 8, and there was very few things that I missed or forgot, but I think I got them all in the morning after less than 4 hours of sleep. I'm proud of myself. I finished it. I finished that sucker. I finished it. Real quick, I want to tell you what each of the charms represent, because I haven't really mentioned that, and I just realized that, and the video's almost over. I'm sorry. So I have 8 charms. I have 4 positive and 4 negative. I wanted to have different combinations when you put them on the scale. I did not have time, so I just put the positive on the heart side and the negative on the mind side, but in reality you can mix and match these. But I needed to be able to end. I needed the game to end, so I just did this. But in reality, I realized people will mix and match these depending on the person. Like I said, didn't have time. So we have the lamb with the crown, which represents faith. We have the eye, which represents fear. We have the cage, which represents lack of self-control. We have the heart with the band-aid and the scarring. That is love. We have the dove with the little leaf. That means peace. The teardrop is meant to represent depression. The bomb with the little anime symbol on it, that represents anger. And the little blue and yellow thing is meant to represent acceptance. I was trying to kind of go for like a Zen looking thing, but I don't know if I pulled it off. My goal with the symbols was to kind of have opposites. So for example, lack of self-control and then acceptance, because you know, sometimes you just have to accept you can't control the situation. Or we have fear, then there is faith, which overcomes fear. You have depression, but then you have peace. You have love, but then you have anger. I wanted to, like, you know, show that you need to kind of just learn how to balance both. Because we're not pulling a Jedi Order here. We're not suppressing the negative emotions and hoping they go away. We need to face them and learn from them. We need to find balance, because to be a whole adult, or just to know a whole person in general, you have to be able to balance the good with the bad. And I hope this game showed that when you played it. If you played it, and if you haven't played it, I will have it linked below. I will get into what I ranked in the next clip, but I just want to say, if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching, and if you could please give me a like, a comment, and or a subscribe. You could do any of those or all of them. That would be great. It does help. I would like to make games an actual job in the future. I realize this game isn't in a sellable state, but like in one day I would like to be able to do that. So if you could do that, that'd be great. And just want to remind you, I do live stream. I live stream making this game 3 times. I am working on a game right now called Flappy Fidget, and I am pretty sure I know what game I'm going to make after Flappy Fidget. So if you want to watch me make games, please subscribe and turn on the bell so you'll know when I'm live streaming here. And if you prefer Twitch, I do have a Twitch, and that is linked below. I also have a link tree for all of my links. Anyway, let me just show you what I ranked in this game jam. And just as a preface, I did not expect to win, and I did not. I already knew there would be way more experienced people there. I only joined basically to get over the fear of losing, pretty much. So with that being said, let me show you what I ranked. Alrighty, I'm gonna show you what I ranked. So I'm gonna go to my profile. I'm gonna go to the game. And there it is. I made the top 50, which is honestly surprising considering it's my first game jam and my second ever finished game in GDevelop. And I sacrificed a lot. I wanted it to be a lot more polished than it is, but you know, I ran out of time. But this was the lowest. Graphics was the second lowest, which, I mean, I like the art style, but I realize this isn't for everybody. And then the overall is 43, which is top 50, which was surprising because there was well over, what was it, like 300 and, I thought it was 308, but apparently it was 306. So I made top 50, so that's cool. And I broke top 40 for audio, theme, and originality, so I think I did good. I didn't think I was going to win to begin with, so this doesn't surprise me that I didn't win. What surprises me is how high I ranked. So to anyone who rated, apparently there was 21 people who rated it. I appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoyed. Had a lot of nice comments. People were very nice. Yeah, this was a nice experience overall, even though it got really bumpy at the end of making the game. I'm still happy I did it. I did need a break from my current game, so this was definitely a break. I appreciate the ratings. Congratulations to the winners, and everyone did a great job. Yeah, that's about it for this video. I will see you all later. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye!